Marsau is sitting in the lounge, scrolling through his phone. But for the first time, his hand trembles as if he is afraid of being exposed to something. LaTisha sits quietly in front of him. But there is such weight in her silence that Marsau himself nervously puts down his phone. He asks what happened, but the same cold seriousness remains on LaTisha's face. She says it's time for everything to be out in the open. No twisting, no avoiding, no excuses. There is a firmness in his voice that puts Marsau in the defensive for the first time. Meanwhile, Carlos is busy in his studio preparing the next podcast. But this time, he seems more careful, more concerned, and more determined than before. He knows that his previous statement has caused a stir everywhere. People want answers, want proof, and some people are trying to silence him. But Carlos is more ready today than ever. He says that if the truth made enemies, then the truth was necessary. As he turns on the lights and the camera focuses on his face, he takes a deep breath and says, "Today we're going to talk about the part that everyone has suppressed for years. But I'm not going to be afraid." Word spread like wildfire on social media as everyone knew that today's episode was going to be explosive and that many names, many secrets, and many relationships might be revealed. As it registers, we're shown another angle, Mars's brother, Markel's. It's been wandering around restlessly for the past few days. He's seen some messages, some chat histories, and some screenshots that aren't easy to hide. But he's afraid that if it all comes out, not only Marosa's, but the entire family's reputation will be in jeopardy. Marcellus repeatedly locks and unlocks his phone. As if he can't decide whether he should tell LaTisha all this, give it to Carlos, or keep quiet. But his silence will not last long because the truth is so big that it is no longer possible to suppress it. Milton and Kesha, on the other hand, who have always called themselves a drama-free couple, are now experiencing the situation for the first time. Because when accusations, chats, and podcasts abound on social media, people start scrutinizing each couple. Kesha feels that Marshall's affair will break up the whole group of friends, if not tomorrow. But Milton explains to him that if the truth comes out, the relationship is not broken. It is cleared. The weight of this sentence is felt throughout the next episode. Meanwhile, the conversation between LaTisha and Marsau takes a strange turn. "If there's one thing I should know, it's that moment where you can lose me and get me back," LaTisha says. Hearing this, Mars' inner false fortitude shakes. He dares to speak, but every word gets stuck in his throat. He says that some things were misunderstood, some things he hid, some things he ignored, and some things got out of hand. Let listens in silence, but not for a moment's sympathy in her heart, for deceit turns a man to stone. Meanwhile, Carlos's podcast goes live, and as soon as it starts, millions of people are watching. He says what I'm about to say today will shake not just one relationship, but an entire industry, entire friendships, and years of silence. ... And on the same sentence, the next episode ends on a cliffhanger. As the next scene opens, after the screen fades to black, the camera pans inside Marshall and LaTisha's home, where the atmosphere feels even more tense and cold. LaTisha is no longer in an emotional state. She is in complete control. His eyes have that twinkle of someone who has decided that only the truth will do, no matter how much it hurts his heart. Mark is fighting his own fear, shaking hands, shifting his seat repeatedly as he knows Carlos's next words could change his life forever. There is sweat on his forehead while LaTisha looks at him with complete calmness as if she is taking out the bitterness of years of cooking. Meanwhile, another story is playing out Markelly's restlessness. He's sitting in his car staring at his phone in the parking lot with the same screenshots, the same messages, the same images that he hasn't been able to get out of his mind for days. He thinks that if it doesn't all come out today, tomorrow might be too late. Because when Carlos says everything will come out today, he makes it clear that what he knows is more than just rumors. Marcellus takes a deep breath and decides that it would be a crime to remain silent now. But fear stops him. Fear of the family being broken, of the name being ruined, and of how LaTisha will react if she finds out the truth. The camera shifts to Carlos' podcast studio, where he sits more serious than ever. In his hand are some files, some old messages, some recordings, and a certain picture, which makes him stop for a moment. He knows it's not just gossip. It's all about changing the future of many people. As the live show resumes, Carlos takes a deep breath and says, "I tried so hard to be quiet. But there are truths that scream even in silence." This phrase of his once again becomes a trend all over the social media. Now everyone is asking the same question in the comments. What is the evidence? Whose name is coming up? And how long has all this been going on? Back to Marshall and LaTisha. Suddenly, Marshall's phone starts ringing calls. Okay, messages, notifications, all at once like rain from the sky. "Pick up because there's nothing to hide now," Lotta says quietly. Markeel nervously picks up the phone and his eyes widen. It's Marcella's message. "You have to call me right away. Something big is going to happen. Carlos is going to tell everything." LaTisha says softly, "What's left now? Because if you don't speak, someone else will." Her tone has the same bitterness that comes from years of misrepresentation, mistrust, and repeated broken promises. On the other side, Milton and Kesha's scene is shown. Milton takes a deep breath and says, "The hour of truth is coming before us all. No one can escape. Not you, not me, not those who are innocent. Some truths are not told to destroy. Some truths need to be lied to save them." Kesha angrily replies, "But Milton says, when lies grow larger than men, relations grow smaller." The two fall silent as they know the group's friendship will not be the same after today. Now, back to Carlos on the podcast. He says, "What I saw, what I heard, what I got, it was not just rumors. I didn't have words. I had evidence. And today, for the first time, I am putting forward what has been suppressed for years." Then he picks up a file. Inside are some photos, some timestamps, some chat history, and a video clip. As he begins to read her first line, his face is filled with seriousness and slight anger. He says it all started with one night, one hotel, and one bad decision. And that decision has led everyone to where they are today. ... The file, the photo, the video in Carlos's hand, seeing which even his face had a strange hardness, as if he was going to take the truth that had been suppressed for years and throw it in front of the whole world. As the screen lights up, a strange sensation is felt in the atmosphere of the podcast studio. Carlos is neither in a hurry nor nervous. He sits like a man who knows full well that what he is about to say today will not only shake the balance of relationships, but also change the course of many people's lives. He leans closer to the mic, takes a deep breath, and says slowly, "You guys don't understand what that one night has changed. But today that file will be opened." Meanwhile, as Carlos' words air, the atmosphere at LaTisha and Marcau's house becomes even more tense. LaTisha's face is stern, her eyes burning like those of a wounded woman, while Marsau's hands are shaking, the phone slipping out of his hand. Knowing full well that a single photo could undo years of work, family, and reputation. On the other hand, the scene cuts to Martellius, who is sitting in his car looking at the clock repeatedly as if he is waiting for time to run out. Both fear and anger are mixed in his eyes. He knows that Carlos has everything in his hands, and if he doesn't tell the truth will be against him. He mutters to himself in a trembling voice, "I should have told. At least let Marshall know earlier. Now things are getting out of hand." As he picks up the phone to call Marsau, a new message pops up on his phone. Just 3 words. He knows everything. This message makes his heart stop beating. He knows that this is no ordinary person's message. This is the same person who has been silent for years, who has yet to say anything, but everyone knows. The episode quickly flashes back to Carlos' studio, where he opens the first page of the file. At that moment, the background music changes. The lights dim, and Carlos says, "This is not just a picture. This is the beginning of a story that has been hidden for years under a veil of lies, excuses, and silence." He looks at the picture and says, "This night, this hotel, these people, everything is not what you think." But as he begins to move the image toward the camera, the viewer's breath stops. And before the image is fully revealed, the screen changes again. We now see Milton and Kesha sitting in a park. their conversation more awkward and awkward than before. Kasia says some things come out and destroy people, but it's a crime to cover up. Now what? Milton slowly replies, "It will be what it always is. The weight of truth is the heaviest, and when it falls on someone, it either breaks them or changes them." Back at Marshall and LaTisha's house, Marshall suddenly stands up as if he has made a decision. He says, "I can't run anymore." LaTisha says with a sarcastic laugh, "You're too late to think that. Now, the truth itself is coming to find you." Marshall's face darkens. He looks out the window as if a shadow seems to be approaching him. Then he says slowly,